Hello, friends. It's John Clan III of episode 157 of Shadow and Flame with Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review Exceptional X-Men number 4 and Extreme X-Men Volume 1, Issue 42. So let's get into these. So, Exceptional X-Men 4 definitely won my comic of the week. And I got the Kitty Pryde Hanukkah cover, variant cover. And let's get the recap done. Kitty Pryde was determined to live a normal life in Chicago and leave her days with the X-Men behind her. But she became the reluctant mentor to three mutant teens, Bronze, Melee, and Axel. Emma Frost, who had been using her telepathic powers to monitor Kitty, arrived and threatened to take control of the young mutants. To prevent them from falling under Emma's influence, Kitty agreed to co-train the teens at a former dance studio. Emma and Kitty clashed over Emma's harsh techniques, but their fight was interrupted by the unexpected arrival of yet another former X-Man, Iceman. And this is brought to us by writer Eve L. Ewing, artist Carmen Carnero, color artist Nolan Woodward, and letter VC's Travis Latham, who is definitely by far my favorite creative team in comics right now. The issue opens up in Westinghouse College Prep in Chicago as Bronze is trying to audition for a play, and she's a little nervous about it. It's for the play Loveliest Sunday, which I'm not familiar with at all, but apparently there's a cute boy she's interested in. And we see that in prepping for this, she is doing Danger Room like sequences by via Emma controlling them, and she's trying to get better at transforming to her bronze state and then transforming back. And Emma's like, "You will get it, but you gotta start just making it routine." And so she tells her to do like 10 reps of it. We see Iceman just hanging out, chatting with Emma, which I like how these two have a history too. Like, I mean, not a real history as Emma. Oh no, they do. Excuse me. Like they're like famously, Emma went to a coma and Bobby went down to the med lab, and then Emma took over his body and gave him quite the power boost, as well as learned all of his intimate thoughts. And then they were also Marauder members together, so that's fun. And then the next day, Priya has invited Bobby over for dinner. And so they're going to make Shabbat, which I'm not that familiar with. And Priya invited Nina. And so Kitty's ex is literally meeting her current relationship. I don't know, they're at labels phase yet. But Bobby explains how they met. We get like a time lapse, and Bobby's telling about an embarrassing story, and Kitty's just like, "You can go now." And Bobby says, "Oh, we grew up together, dated for a while, but turns out I'm gay." So it's nice that he's respecting, like, yeah, she hasn't come out to them as she's the world famous X-Man, which is weird as she's Kitty Pryde. Like, all you gotta do is Google her in the Marvel Universe, and I'm sure you get all the information. And then we see that Bobby is reporting back to somebody with a green chat box, which I didn't pick up until right now. And then Bobby's is blue, of course. And then several fun stories later, and they're doing dishes together, and Kitty really wants him to just go home, but he's not ready yet. Bronze is about to audition, and we see that she gets lovely texts from Axel and Melee encouraging her, and I just love so much how these are just fast friends. They got something in common, and they're just going with it. And hopefully they never know conflict. And we get a fun tie into X-Force issue 5 as Bronze has to fight a demon beast released from an interdimensional fracture. See X-Force 5. So Evie Wing provided her own footnote there, which is fun because usually that's an editor's job. But it's just nice to see in the same issue where Bobby shows up and is actually interacting with the cast that um like this title's not standing on its own anymore. Like it's getting into the larger X-Men world. And Braun saves the day, of course. And then the drama teacher's so impressed that he's willing to give her from a bit part to understudy. So, that's nice. And understudies, if you ever go to a show with an understudy, usually those are like a lot better show, or not maybe a lot better, but there's a different energy about them as the understudy finally gets to do the job they've been wanting to do the whole time. And they got something to prove. And that almost always makes for a good time. Kitty and Emma are watching Axo and Melee spar, and none of them really know actors, but they're trying their best to be encouraging. And then we get to the heart of the issue. Kitty's going to grab some more equipment. We see how big this dance studio really is they got just rooms and boxes upon boxes as we get the impression Emma's slowly moving things in. And we get Bobby saying, so far, pretty much just going from home to work to this dojo she has set up. No other contacts with current or former X-Men, as far as I can tell, other than Emma. Three of them, lots of potential. Hard to tell how attached she is. I feel like there's an opportunity here. She's off her game. Am I? And Bobby's like, as Kitty starts phasing her fist through his back. He's like, why don't you tell me what's going on? So she grabs the phone from him and she's like, who is this? And all of a sudden you hear it's Kitty, it's Rogue on the phone. And she's like, Kitty, sugar, hello. Damn it, she hung up. And they don't reference this, but Rogue and Kitty are not getting along well via phone because in Uncanny X-Men, Volume 6, Issue 1, Rogue tried calling Kitty before to be like, hey, what's going on? And Kitty was very clear on like, don't call me now again. And so I guess Rogue's way of getting around that is to have Bobby come visit her. And it's an interesting choice, maybe because Bobby's unattached to anything, so he can go. Because it's not like Rogue's going to call Magic and then have Magic show up and Kitty Low. I would love that. I would say that, but issue one of Exceptional had Kitty going through the phone or television and seeing Magic and Cyclops and Psylocke, in San Francisco. So there's been connections the whole time. And so Kitty really doesn't want to talk to um Rogue, and so she's storming off. Bobby like grabs her, is like, "What are you doing?" I'm sorry for sneaking around. We just someone needed to check in, and you're ghosted everybody. We've all been worried after everything. And then we see um Carnero and Woodward's talent to shine as we see their version of the events of X-Men Volume 732. No, the issue X-Men Volume 7, Issue 3025, like the post Mutant Massacre, the sequel, or as Walker D would say, the squeakquel, which is like, oh man. Um, and where turns out Kate can go through the gates, and then Orcus goons see her do it, and she has to kill them all because they can't know that Kitty can use them. Otherwise, they lose their field advantage. And once again, Carnero and Woodward, I can see doing complete rehistory of the X-Men if they wanted to, as all I want to see is do it. And someone should, and heck, it might be me. I should maintain some type of updated list of all flashback sequences. Because I wonder if there's a through line or something besides this great kitty moment. And so now we're building towards the actual heart-wrenching part where Kitty's just like, I told him I didn't want any part in anything. You can't say I'm running away, sure, but I'm choosing this. I'm choosing these kids, choosing to be a teacher I wish I had. And Bobby's like, I know, but after Krakoa, after Orcus, don't you dare say that word to me. Not after what I did. You did what you had. I killed people, Bobby. Kitty, wait. And then like Kitty literally phases in and Axel's like, you killed people? And Emma's making this face that's like you can see these kids like innocence just go away of like, oh, what's going on? But I also like to think that Emma's making a face of like secondhand embarrassment for Kitty having her secret outed this way, but also like, yeah, X-Men kill all the time. Like you'd be surprised who hasn't killed as an X-Man. And also like, oh man, you're mad about Kitty killing people. Wait until you find out what Emma did. As you know, every couple of years she would just kidnap Kitty Pryde and other young students and torment them for a while. So issue 5 is going to be pretty intense, and Carmen Carnero's, she promotes each issue on Twitter, which is nice of her. And so I was just like, I can't wait for issue 5. It's going to be intense. And she responded sweetly, and it was just like, yeah, it's going to be. Oh no, I was like, it's going to be full of emotions, and she was like, yeah, it's going to get pretty intense. And I was like, well, I trust this creative team. I think I'm ready for it. But yeah, it's just an amazing series that it's just going to go into 2025 as, my favorite team title. Splitting hairs there about how Magic's going to be my favorite solo title. But let's put a pause on current comics to then go back to Extreme X-Men number 42. Um, because it's been a while. I am currently 42. And so I grabbed all my issue 42s. There's got to be an easier way to explain this concept. And so I grabbed all my 42s, and all year I've been reviewing them. And then the very last one I save for the last of the week or the last week of the year to review. And here we are, everyone, last week of the year. And um and then naturally I'm turning 33 on January 31st. And so I pulled all my 43s, which feels like there's a lot more 43s than there were 42s, which is fun, but also like what the heck? And so I'm going when wanting to fill a off week of no exceptional or magic appearances or kitty no shadow flame and magic spotlighted issues. I will just go my 43s until I can finally start chipping away these back issues that I don't know whenever I will get to them. So that is a prologue. And here we are, Prisoner of Fire, issue 3 of 6. This came out in April 2004. Inside cover ad is for Sonic Heroes, which was on Xbox, PlayStation 2, and Nintendo GameCube, just to put it hard into where it falls historically. And this I made a short video on TikTok and YouTube at Jacko SIII, and um that you can follow along with. Mostly I spotlighted 2 pages or 3. And so this is written by Chris Claremont and drawn by Igor Cordy. Inkers was Adam Plepoy and Ratman, who I'm not familiar with them enough to say their first names that were not provided. Virtual calligraphy, which is what VC stands for in current comics letters. Russ Walton letter. Colors is liquid, which means this looks like a great comic. Assistant editors were Stephanie Moore and Corey Sellermere. Editor Mike Martz, editor-in-chief Joe Quesada, and publisher Dan Buckley. And since this came out in 2004, we do get a handy recap page. The world has changed. The mutant children of humanity, lowest genetic structure grants many of them extraordinary powers and abilities, have come out of the closet, determined to claim their rightful place in a world that still looks on them with fear and even hatred. Standing alone to preserve the peace in society, increasing torn with flashpoints of violent conflict is a team of outcast heroes whose lives and purpose are defined by a simple and fundamental truth. Whatever our genes, we are all ultimately human, and if there's to be a future where we must all learn to live together, extreme times require extreme X-Men. And actually, that's not a recap page, is it? Well, it's a Chris Claremont comic, so we will just read the opening narration boxes. In the California coastal community of Val Soledad, Bishop has been taken prisoner by the Extreme Team's latest adversary, the reclusive billionaire predator whose favored prey are mutants, Elias Bogan. Now, despite the loss of their most powerful member and the absence of their leader, Storm, the team plans their next move. And so the team's recruiting a bunch of people. The team consists of Storm, who's missing, Sage, Cannonball, Rogue, Gambit, Bishop, who's also missing, and Mag. And so they reach out for some support. And of course, Bobby Del Costa, Sunspot, returns. Skid, Sally Bevins, and then Magma is also part of the team as well, I guess, even though she was on the cast list. But all right, all right, all right. And so they're planning their move. They're going to take the fight to Bogan, who killed Psylocke in the very beginning of the series. So he's been quietly the main title's enemy. Rogue has a sleeve tattoo, which I always forget how she loses that tattoo. Someone implied that a mutant gave her the tattoo and had the option because it's mutant ink but not the mutant ink, that it could go away on command, and that's how she got rid of it. But that feels like not like, I bet in the issue she gets the tattoo is not the issue they established that. And so Rogue and Gambit have a nice little moment, making out, and they team up with a mutant who can turn into a dragon. Oh, Vange is her name, and she turns into a big red dragon. And then Rogue tells this gal with an eye patch, "You know, I got a friend who has a dragon for a pet. I bet you like them both." And so they're gonna do a three-pointed attack where Skids is on one team, Rogue's on another, and Gambit is gonna take down this other goon. And then they come across Bishop, who is being mind controlled by Bogan. So that's not good. He Bishop takes down Skids and Sunspot, but Gambit has a theory on how to take. Oh, he also takes down Cannonball, who's nigh invulnerable when he's blasted. Ugh, this page. We get full page ad for Daredevil, the video game, that I still think about from time to time, especially now that have games like The Last of Us and Assassin's Creed that all have like an echo mode. Like Daredevil would have been a forerunner for that. And there's a special offer limited edition custom comic to go with it. And it would have been nice. I mean, the graphics are very 2004, which is literally a step up from 4 years earlier of Activision Spider-Man games, but you can still tell like they're blocky characters. And it's like foil notorious villains with menacing combos, death-defying weapons, and awesome martial artistry. Switch on radar sense to follow the trail of dangerous thugs or detect lurking threats in a Hell's Kitchen environment. Unravel a sinister storyline as you travel from the tallest skyscraper down to the sewer depths and everywhere in between. Justice is coming, first quarter 2004. And it's like, oh man, we never got justice. Well, we get a hint that Bogan is using a mutant with telepathic powers who talks in a red font. Who could that be? Meanwhile, Vange the Dragon lands in a street corner or a four-way stop, which makes an X if you look at it from a certain view. As Sage has reached out to a friend, we're facing an adversary whose extraordinary power is matched only by his cruelty. Control over Bishop and the telepath gives him exceptional insider knowledge of the X-Men. He knows our numbers. He knows our capabilities. I'm sure he believes he has every base covered. And then we see someone coming out of the shadows. Sage, you brought in a ringer? And dramatic page turn. Unless you're reading this anywhere online, because they do not have this page on here, like Kindle Comics doesn't, Comixology doesn't, which I suppose is the same thing now, and any other website you could think of that has comics that you can read online. But I as a guy who likes to make the internet what I want it to be in my tiny corner, if you type in Extreme X-Men 42 final page, Kitty Pride, some combination of those words, you should find either my my website post, because I'm very old and I still refer to my website as a blog. Uh, the website has a post. I did it on Twitter and Blue Sky. Like, you should be able to find it. But you dramatic page turn and stage chase. Who better to blindside the monster than a girl who can walk through walls? And more importantly, whose mind cannot be read. Like Miss Kitty Pride. And Kitty is straight out of her Mechanics miniseries. Just when I thought it was out, they pulled me back in. And they totally did. Next, Dark of the Soul. And then we'll just do 43, sometime next year. Look forward to that, dear listener. Feel like I was gonna. Oh, yeah. And then before that page, Wizard took an ad out so that you can vote for the best comics of 2003. Even though some of the language here says 2002, but they mean three. Someone should have caught that. And so let me just say who my picks were. So favorite writer was Brian Michael Bendis. Favorite penciler, I would have gone George Perez for Joey Avengers. Favorite breakout talent? I'm not sure who I would have voted for then, but Scott Collins, who was working on The Flash, would have been my choice now. Favorite inker would be Jimmy Potty, though I think I would have been tempted by Scott Hanna for Amazing Spider-Man, or Danny Miki for Ultimate X-Men. Favorite painter, probably default to Alex Ross, but Gabriel Del Otto will do Bendis's Secret War at one point. Though David Mack, I mean, I like his Daredevil and Echo art. And Greg Horn, whatever happened to that guy? Favorite colorist, Laura Martin will win now, but I'm pretty sure I went with Dave Stewart for Ultimate X-Men. Favorite letter would be Chris Elopoulos. Low Todd Klein for the Klein Connection, low no relation. Though Richard Starkings at Comic Craft is a legendary letterer before VCs came along. Favorite editor, Tom Brevoort with the Avengers Fantastic Four. So Ralph Macchio was a legendary editor from like the 90s comics. I remember him, and maybe 80s too, right? And Jim McLaughlin from all Top Cow books. So I know him as a writer from Wizard. Favorite hero, Ultimate Spider-Man is an option. Show would have gone there, but right in would have been Kitty Pryde. Favorite heroine would have been Emma Frost for New X-Men. The Mystique was an option, so that's nice. Favorite villain would never be Red Skull, but Magneto for New X-Men. Favorite supporting character, oh, Mary Jane Watson from Ultimate Spider-Man. So Ezekiel from Amazing Spider-Man, because this was during that John Romita JMS era. That ends tragically with the One More Day nonsense. Favorite ongoing series would have been New X. Oh no, would have been Ultimate Spider-Man with nods to New X-Men, which is weird because I don't think about Grant Morrison's X-Men and Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man existing at the same era, but probably because Bendis's Spider-Man lasted like years. Favorite miniseries would have been Joey Avengers as 1602. I just didn't connect with Sinister Six. Also, is like all right. Favorite one shot? There was an Adventures of Gus Beezer for X-Men, but I do not know Gus Beezer. Uh, so I don't know. I probably went Planetary Batman because that was the hot wizard book they kept talking about. Favorite publisher, Marvel, no doubt. Favorite comic merchandise would have been HeroClix Explosion, the X-Men theme one. The Marvel Legends is becoming a thing at this time. Favorite comic, TV, or movie project was either Daredevil, Justice League on Cartoon Network, Smallville, Spider-Man, the MTV series, or X-Men 2. And I would have still vote X-Men 2 on there. Well, I don't know. I may have picked Justice League at the time because, I mean, pound for pound, like, I don't know, Walker D was having this conversation with me about how much I love Wicked's Defying Gravity. And he was trying to compare it to things like, who you like more, Kitty Pryde or Defying Gravity? I was like, well, that's not fair. Like, one's a my beloved character has given me, thousands of, well, maybe not thousands, maybe thousands of, individual issues versus a 7-minute song. I was like, buddy, compare songs to songs and it'd be a little more of a debate. So it's also like back in the day how I would always choose Star, right? I would never understand how people choose Star Wars over Star Trek, because at one point it's three movies versus hundreds of hours of entertainment, where it's like, yeah, well, like you spend 12 hours with three movies, and then you can spend weeks upon weeks with Star Trek, and it's like, yeah, I will go Star Trek then. Like the great far outweighs the bad, even if only thing you want to take is the next generation, and take all the data centric episodes or the Wesley Crusher episodes, and then you're like, yeah, bunch of great stuff in there because there's just so much data episode. Anyways, comics greatest moment: Clayface returns as Jason Todd, Doctor Doom scars Reed Richards, Spider-Man picturing Jean Grey naked in Ultimate Spider-Man 43. Thor hitting Superman with Mjolnir and Joey Avengers 1, or Zorn revealed to be Magneto 146. And because Joey Avengers was such a moment, like I would have picked for that. And it's still quite the moment because it's not like we get Thor hitting Superman with his hammer a bunch. In fact, it just happened at one time. So, so that was Extreme X-Men Volume 142. And now let's see what other comics came out last week. All right, so we had Hellhunters, which is a Howling Commandos comics miniseries, but with Logan and Ghost Rider, or World War II Ghost Rider, and Bucky. And Logan, not in the first issue, but coming. And Ghost Rider took the stage, and I don't know, it wasn't too bad. I don't know if I'll actually continue looking at it, but no one ever knows. Iron Man 3, towards the end, Tony referenced his wife Emma Frost and the Mysterium medal, but he resolved the whole corporate takeover pretty quickly. Oh, spoilers, everyone, for this last week's comics. Oops. I gotta get better about that. The one giant negative about Iron Man 3 is that Belasco turns out was controlling Dr. Droid, and they have a meeting in his tiny corner of limbo. And Belasco's just horrible. Like, I hate Sim, but like so much that I forget about Belasco. But yeah, Belasco's horrible. So that's not great. Mystique 3, speaking of comics tying in with each other, ties in directly with Sentinels 3, where we see Magneto there is actually a powered Fabian Cortez powered up Mystique. So I guess if she switches into a person, she can now use their powers, which I feel like she was already doing a Wolverine clause every so often, which I don't know how the science of that works. Like, so she becomes Mystique, turns into Wolverine, shifts into Wolverine, pops claws, and then I mean, how hard can that feel? Like, does it hit you like bone, or is it more like finger hurting you? Like a punch, but with jagged fingers? I don't know. Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk, with Frank Terrieri back on the character. It wasn't horrible, but Sabretooth, just not a character I can get way into. Like, I just find him gross, and he's just like, I don't know. And he has like connections to Sinister, and I'm not a big Sinister guy. Timeslide 1 came out, which is this year's version of Time List, which is telling us all about next year's comics. So let me pull up that page, which I should promote. Blue Sky at Jocko SII, which I find myself to be a delight of a follow. Um, you can read all my comic book reviews. I usually do X spoilers or A spoilers. Hashtag X spoilers, A spoilers. And so I did a timeless review. And so Bishop, Cable, and pink hair gal come across pretty much a wall of future events. So here we go. 8 deaths, which we know is to be the Spider-Man event. One war under Doom, which is the Doctor Doom event. Rise of the New Champions, which is New Champions. The Eternal Storm, which may be upcoming event for Storm after X Manhunt. Boss Metal, which okay. Who waits within the last egg has to be Krakoan egg. I don't think we have any major players not Steam, but be curious who the last egg could be. Could be fun. Strange of Asgard, which is Doctor Strange in Asgard. Galactic Leaders Assassinated, which is probably Hickman's Infinity that no, it's not Infinity. Imperial that came out, which hopefully is just full of Sunspawn and Cannonball hijinks. Time of Strife with an I, which I think is supposed to make us think of the X-Men villain Strife with a Y. Dormammu Invasion of Earth, which I can only imagine brings Strange of Asgard to Earth. Miss Marvel Genesis, which Second Genesis is a famous X-Men subtitle, so I imagine just the next Miss Marvel miniseries. Ultimate Incursion, which this issue here showed us lots of images of Ultimate Wolverine from the original Ultimate timeline. And so I'm wondering if it's coming back, which I really hope that they remembered that Ultimate Shadowcat was built up to be quite the leader of the Ultimate Universe before Secret Wars 2015. Though recognizing, yes, that she spent the last year of it in all new Ultimates in quite the backseat position, but before that year, she was building up to be quite the leader of the Ultimate Universe. Who is the man of the hammer? Imagine it's a Thor thing. The Ghost Fist walks, which I imagine is Iron Fist with Ghost Rider powers because everyone's doing it. Where is Spider-Man? Which I imagine is Miles Morales, Vampire Spider-Man, right? What became of Emily? I don't know, GHT, and I don't know who that could be. The Will of Doom, I imagine, is Fallout from the Doom event. Utgad Rises, which I don't know who that is. Age of Revelations, probably just a crossover. Beware the Spider Woman, which could be any number of Spider Women, but I would like it to be Julia Carpenter. Who would trade away Immortality, which I imagine is an X-Men event? XVX, which I imagine is the raid on Grey Malkin that's leading to X-Men Hunt. Then 3K Gene Bomb, which of course is in the title X-Men, as they fighting that group of 3K, which, must make us think of the KKK. So that's clearly an X-Men event. So quite a few X-Men things, or at least what I believe are going to be X-Men things. Um, oh yeah, West Coast Avengers had Firestar and Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. Firestar is officially on the team. She meets the good Ultron, and then on television they see the evil Ultron. And I don't know, I like the team dynamics, but the Ultron subplot's not, or main plot's not doing much for me. And then X-Men 9, part 3 of the raid on Grey Malkin, which I probably should have pumped up in the review. Pretty great. Magic and Deathstream are having fun chemistry. Idy and Ransom, like she falls and then he helps her up and they sort of have a meet cute moment, and I'm all for that. At first, I thought maybe it was the romantic relationship we were supposed to be seeing in two X-Men titles, but someone did tell me that, or corrected me that it was actually supposed to be a sapphic relationship between Exceptional and X-Men, which made us all think it was Katyana, but we haven't seen anything with that. So, yeah, pretty sure I've never said sapphic ever. So hopefully I pronounced that right. And and then they're about to break out the mutant who is controlling their emotions, making them fight each other for a reason quiets down, and so they're going to open the inmate X door to get Xavier to help out. And Xavier shows up before they open the door to say, "Hey, even though it makes sense that I would be inmate X, I'm not." But before then, Rogue and Cyclops were having quite the discussion about if they should free Xavier. And I don't want to be that guy, but Cyclops was right. Don't take Xavier. Like if they took all the other prisoners, which they were doing because they took Fred Dukes and Siren and maybe Toad, and they were going to escape with them, but left Xavier. Warden Ellis would have found that as a victory of like, yeah, I got the main guy. But unfortunately, Nightcrawler and Psylocke free Xavier, and so I guess that's how he's gonna go into X-Manhunt. So, so yeah. Oh, and Maggie, Juggernaut and Magic had a fun moment too, as he was going to destroy one of those Sentinel dogs, and she destroyed it instead. And I don't know. I really like Magic and Juggernaut. They're fun together. And like all I really want from an X title is to have at least one moment of levity. Like, come on. I know the franchise likes to go, dark, but I mean, I like a little humor in a dark moment. I mean, that's just natural. So let's see what comics come out next week. Oh yeah, I'm very excited about Avengers 22. It has Black Cat joining the team. So Black Cat and Storm on the in the title. That sounds delightful. Cable Love and Chrome #1. Sure. Deadpool Wolverine 1. I wouldn't really care, but Joshua Cassara is on art, and so now I care a lot of it. See here. Oh, what if Galactus transform Hulk? I wonder if that could have any fun things. Oh, X Factor 6 is a comic that maybe be fun. It looks like Frenzy's on the cover taking out, oh, not Havoc, someone else is taking out Havoc. But anyways, X Factor 6 and X Force 7, which promises to give us lots of Rachel and Betsy action, Retsy as we call them. So I am mostly excited about, let's do this, X Force 7, Avengers 22, X Factor 6, Deadpool and Wolverine 1, and Cable Love and Chrome. Yeah. All right. So we're going a little long, but let's talk about my best X issues of 2024, which I think I will try to do this again in hashtag best X issues of 2025, but only update it as the top 10 changes because there's several weeks where I just posted the same um issues over and over again. I'm like, we don't need to do that. Like, and the five people who like these posts, like, we don't want to do it. Plus, some creators might see it, and I don't know. Imagine that's irksome. Until you finally get to my list, like, oh, it's just really the top 10 comics Kitty Pryde was in. And it's like, well, yeah, have you not met me? That's my brand. So here we go. Number one, and we're gonna go, oh no, we could go reverse order. So number 10, Ultimate X-Men V Volume 2, Issue 10. Pretty much just every issue of Ultimate X-Men better than better. So I sort of do wish I had kept it as like the best of that series, but I like the idea of like, hey everyone, check out each issue. It's going good. But now, like 2024 was definitely the year of Ultimate X-Men, but 2025 is gonna be the year of Ultimate Wolverine. Like that's just because I've been that guy like looking for any signs of magic being referenced. Like Sunspot got referenced once, and I was like, all right. And maybe Kitty Pryde gonna be one of the characters with like a purple dragon shirt, but no, she is gonna be Ultimate Wolverine with magic and Winter Soldier slash Wolverine. And so I do have a theory that Omega Red's actually their brother Mikhail because they keep referring to them as the Rasputins, and I'm like, okay. I don't know if any Omega Red giant fans would be upset about that, but I guess we'll find out. Number 9, X-Men Volume 635. Did I say Volume 7 earlier in the episode? Well, that should be 25. Do that. Um, Slash Uncanny X-Men Sub 100, which is nonsense, as we made a big point of not calling it, anyways. Um, the final issue of the Krakoan era, the second issue of the year to give us the Shadow and Flame and with magic content that we all crave. Fall of House of X5. Ugh, I just said it. Oh no, no, Magic's not in that, I don't believe. So that comic gave us Lockheed and Kitty or Kate Pride in an Orcus machine base with Miss Marvel. So that was fun to see that Lockheed was represented there. Number seven, Uncanny X-Men Volume 6-1 that has the aforementioned Rogue and Kitty Pryde conversation, but also we went to Warden Ellis went to the X Mansion, turning into a prison, and we saw a plush Lockheed on someone's bed with a well, it had to be Kitty Pryde's bed with a classic uniform in a glass case. And then a couple pages later, then they meet that giant green dragon from Savage Avengers that Magic hung out with. And then Rogue was like, "Oh, this guy's a cutie, not Lockheed cute, but cute." So let's try to get on the list. Number six, Blood Hunt Magic. A one shot so great that it gave Ashley Allen, who wrote that, a Magic ongoing series. So, and pretty much all the Blood Hunt ladies, Laura Kinney, Wolverine, and Psylocke got one shot or ongoings announced and started, and we're still waiting for the Jubilee one to announce. But Ashley Allen Magic, definitely the new series of 2025 to get behind. And then here we go. Issue five. Oh, not issue five. At number five, Exceptional X-Men 2. Number four, Exceptional X-Men 3. Number three, Exceptional X-Men 4. And then number two, Exceptional X-Men number one. I mean, it just launched so great with that first issue. It gave us that Lockheed origami item that we haven't seen since. Um, as far as no, well, no, besides the Uncanny X-Men, this era has gone Lockheed less. Well, and the lovable Lockheed digital comic that we're still waiting for it to get printed. And the number one comic of the year was X-Men Volume 632. Um, Kitty Kate Pryde catches up with Magic, and then Emma brings Lockheed, and we get the What Still My Heart splash page of the Shadow the Flame with Magic group hug with Emma at the very top of the page. And it's like, hey, my four favorite X-Men all in the same room. Or three, top three. Because they usually always go Kitty Pryde with Lockheed at number one. And then you get Magic and Emma, and then number four, Nightcrawler, five, Cyclops. And then from there, like, I don't know, I'm not confident in my 6 to 10, which is ridiculous. Like, just makes people. But it's like Storm, Forget Me Not. Well, it's always one me. I'm always like, oh, I had that person. Um, yeah, see, already I'm just like, because I don't want to say Rogue. Like, I like Rogue, but is she a main character? Like, I don't know. And then, um, I can't really think of TV we watched that, besides Agatha All Along, which we finally finished like a couple of nights ago. So I was like, all right, we finally did it. But I did keep track of the movies I watched, so in the theaters. And we saw 12 movies, which I found very impressive. So number 12, Garfield, which we bought on Vudu, and it's a better movie than I remember it being. 11, Despicable Me 4. 10, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Careful. Number 9, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I really need to watch again. 8, Inside Out 2. 7, Venom Last Dance, which might go higher now. Well, I don't know. These are the official numbers. 6, If, which I remember being charmed by it like a lot. But then we saw Venom Last Dance also last night and was like, oh yeah. Wild Robot, which we love. Madam Web at 4. 3, Fall Guy, which I feel like now I should knock way down, like 2 to 5. And then number one and two, like, I don't know, there's a part of me that wants to make Wicked my favorite movie of the year, and maybe if I watched it a second time, I would have gotten that desire to watch it again out of my head. Everyone's saying it's coming to digital on New Year's Eve, which I'm hoping means we can just buy it then. If not, the next week we'll buy it for sure. But pretty much, I want to watch Wicked as much as I saw number one ranked Deadpool and Wolverine. And I want to say there was this proper X-Men outside of Gambit and Laura Kinney. Yeah, I and Pyro. Um, it wouldn't even be a debate, but yeah, Deadpool Wolverine. I mean, I was so excited for that movie the whole time, and then Wicked came along, and I've just been in a Wicked world this whole time. So, um, yeah, those are the things. I wish Apple Music would keep track of all the songs I listened to this year. I can't think of any new albums that came out besides the Wicked soundtrack. Like that'd be number one. And yeah, because I don't think I can tell by release date, can I? No, I cannot. Anyways, so that would have been nice though. Because if you like Google 2024 music, I'm not gonna recognize, I don't know, 80% of the people. So everyone, that was episode 157 of Shadow and Flame with Magic, the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And I really appreciate all you who keep coming back. Um, and for everyone following along, I'm gonna upload those two panels of Extreme X-Men on the podcast's social media at SNFWM spelt out. And um and then the episode will go live, which you will know as you'll be listening to it. So silly. Um But yes, thank you so much. I'm excited about 2025 coming out. We got big things with Captain America movie, Fantastic Four coming out, Thunderbolts, though I have no connection to like comics to tie into it. Um, feel like there's some other stuff. Well, that's the big stuff. So, Daredevil, Born Again. That's something. Yeah. So, oh man, I gotta get better at my outros, right? Well, everyone, thank you again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.